right, welcome. You get to be my guinea pig and see how this whole screencastify and sharing screens and all that works, because I'm so used to using my phone to record stuff. But I'm at school today, so I'm trying this out. Okay, so the rhetorical triangle. I'm going to break it down into everyday people terms. So real quickly, rhetoric, and I'm referencing my notes, that's why I'm looking over here. It's an ability in an individual or particular case to see available means of persuasion. So what does that mean? You look at the situation and you decide how you're going to convince people that you are the authority or that you are right, that your argument is correct. You use it all the time, probably more than you think with your parents. So with the rhetorical triangle, to put it in everyday people terms, if you think of these strategies kind of as a plate of nachos. So the rhetorical triangle is your whole plate of chips here. And if it is a quality plate of nachos, it's going to be fully loaded. It's going to have cheese, meat, olives, guacamole, sour cream, salsa, whatever you like to put on your nachos. And with quality writing, it's going to have these three devices. So ethos, pathos, and logos. So you're going to incorporate these strategies or devices into your writing. Now, you don't use all of them together all of the time. So I'm at home, I'm in a hurry, I want a snack. I take some tortilla chips, throw them on a plate, cheese, pop them in the microwave. Now I can't speak microwave. And they're still nachos, but I didn't make them go all out. And sometimes you'd only get the cheese and meat. Sometimes, you're at a restaurant and you're picking through your nachos and you get a chip with just guacamole. That's okay. It doesn't mean you're going to throw it away. So when you're looking at your writing, you have some questions to ask yourself to see if you're incorporating these strategies. And if you go to technically the first page there, when you think you're done with your writing, you would ask yourself these questions about each aspect of the rhetorical triangle to see if your writing is a solid piece. But like I said, you don't necessarily have to use all three all the time. Depends on your audience and your purpose and things that we'll dig deeper into later on. So the other thing is now, you don't want to be that dry, stale chip either. So you don't want to bore your reader to death. Or if you're trying to argue with your parents, if you don't have a credible argument, they're going to just totally ignore you. So that's kind of how the triangle works. You want to try to incorporate all three appeals. However, you don't need to every time. So back to our nachos. So if you think of logos as the meat, it's your logics, your facts, your truth, your evidence. Those are like your counter arguments. So if you go up here, these are the types of questions you would ask yourself to see if your purpose is being communicated clearly. So what events preceded the communication? So when we look at the speech later on, what happened to drive the speech to be written or John Lewis's letter to be written? Arguments that are being used. Are they logical and well thought out? How are they delivered? Where is the document or speech delivered? And is the communication necessary? Okay, so then you go back and you have pathos. And that's the cheese. It's the appeal. It's necessary. It's not nachos without cheese. So what emotion do you want to provoke? So you ask yourself, what are the audience expectations? What am I trying to get from the audience through my writing or my speech? How will they use their information? What is the audience hoping to take away from reading or listening to this? And what are you communicating to the audience in the first place? So there's that aspect. And then you have, last part, your ethos. That is the guacamole or your sour cream or whatever. It's technically good for you. You have your dairy or your vitamins, guacamole's avocado, that healthy fat. So that's your credibility, your character, your authority. So that's where your authority comes from. What are you? Are you competent to speak on the issue? Who are you? What makes you qualified for this argument? So you go back up. Are you providing information? Where did you get your facts, statistics, evidence? Are you trying to educate? Or are you trying to make a call for action? You're trying to convince somebody of something, to take your side or to do something to bring about change. Are you attempting to persuade others to change a perspective or a firmly held belief? So maybe it was that, at one point you couldn't have a boyfriend or girlfriend until your parents thought you were a certain age. Then you try to persuade them because in junior high you were madly in love when you were 12. So that could have been at that time the end all. You had to persuade them that it was okay for you to have this boyfriend or girlfriend or go to the school dance or whatever it is. Are you presenting ideas for problem solving or analysis, or are you just trying to entertain? So to break it all down, in a solid piece of writing, you're going to have all three aspects of the rhetorical triangle. It's going to be your fully loaded nacho. Sometimes, though, meat and cheese is fine. You might only need part of this. Sometimes you might have meat and cheese and, that's not super great with the toppings. And that could be a weak part of your writing. And then you would go back and revise. You send it back to the kitchen and get a better plate of nachos. And then remember that you don't want to be the dry, sad little chip off to the side that nobody wants. So you want to make sure that you get familiar with these enough that you incorporate them into your writing so that you have a solid plate of nachos and not the sad little burnt chip. All right, there it is. Rhetorical triangle, everyday people terms. Now go enjoy yourself a plate of nachos.